Who are we? We are the ones who step up for each other. I've got your back. You've got mine. Kindness, humility, empathy. It's not just talk. It's who we are. It's who we always have been. And no one can take that from us. The movement to bring it back, it started here. And here. And here. In school gymnasiums, community centers, the living room down the block. You'll be where? Okay, we'll be there. Who are we? We're the movement that will beat Donald Trump. Welcome. We're going to have to sweat for it. We're going to have to sacrifice and fight. We're going to have to lead. Everyone is going to have to lead with kindness, humility, empathy, and not just talk, but action. Action today, action tomorrow. Action until we win. And we will win if we do this together. It's who we are. It's who we always have been. Now let's show them. Thank you for joining the Biden-Harris campaign, Maine Young Americans for Biden virtual bus tour. And now, please welcome Maine Senior Advisor, Spencer Thibodeau.
Hey everybody, happy Thursday. We made it, thank goodness. I don't know about you, but these last 6 months have just absolutely flown by. And we find ourselves only 47 days from Election Day. Who could have thought? As was said, my name is Spencer Thibodeau. I'm going to be your host tonight. And I get the opportunity to serve as senior advisor to the Biden campaign here in Maine. If you're looking for Calculus 1, you're in the wrong place, so you better not be late because I hear they deduct points from that. But that would probably explain my grades in college anyway. Welcome to the Young Folks for Biden virtual bus tour. We're so excited to have you join us tonight. And we have some awesome people to hear from tonight. Just a little side story. My grandmother turned 90 years old a couple weeks ago, and we had a socially distanced barbecue outside. And as I was leaving, she turned to me and she says, "You guys are going to fix this. You guys are going to solve this." And she's absolutely right. She wasn't talking about just me. She's talking about all of us. So tonight we come together on Zoom, but also virtually on Facebook Live. So thank you for those of you who are tuning in. We have been told as a generation that we have to wait our turn, that we've got to put in our time, we've got to put in the work. But as one of my friends who was one of the youngest mayors in the country at the time, Svante Myrick of Ithaca, says, our time is right now. And if you don't have a seat at the table, you're definitely on the menu. And so tonight, we get to hear from folks who have battled and fought and clawed their way to the table. And those 5 guests, I'm super excited to introduce you to tonight. But before we get there, we also know that we young people are still leading the way. We're stepping up to serve in the military as doctors, as nurses, as teachers, as public servants, working every day to make our communities that we live in stronger. And Joe Biden knows that if he gives us a shot, a chance, we're going to be able to take this country to new heights. And so to help us take this country to new heights, I get to introduce to you first a recent Bangor high school graduate, a community leader in racial and climate justice. She's a frequent volunteer at our local hospital, has won accolades, academic accolades, way more than I ever won when I was younger. Ijoma Obi, welcome to the Young Folks for Biden virtual bus tour. I'm so honored that you're here to join us tonight. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Spencer. And again, thank you all for having me. I guess I'd start by talking about my background. I've come a far way from the shy and timid person I once was in high school. I truly believe that my time in high school debate propelled me to apply what I was arguing in the classroom to the world and my community around me. To give you a bit of info about myself, I've been doing activism since my senior year of high school. Before that, I was the kid in class who would call out someone if I felt they were being problematic, even to the disdain of some of my classmates. I've been deeply involved in research, and in my life, I want to make a difference. I want to be a person people can lean on, a person to lead the way, to show people that there's more options than what they may think or the pathways that they've been given for such a long time. I've gone through a lot of struggles, even for my age. I've stayed up at night wondering, what can I do? What is my purpose? Am I doing enough? I've attempted to answer those unanswerable questions by joining Just Me for Justice and founding the Bangor chapter of Maine Climate Strikes, protesting, rallying, volunteering in my community, answering the call to lead at school, outside of school, wherever I possibly could. I answered the unanswerable call by getting out of my comfort zone, by studying, by learning, by listening. And I emphasize listening because I've learned throughout my time as an activist, especially my time with the megaphone, that listening is key to understanding. And I'm sure we all know a certain person who doesn't quite like to listen. That can be quite frustrating. I've volunteered and phone banked for local campaigns. I've learned from my parents, my peers, my mentors, my teachers, my professors that growth takes sacrifice, change takes getting uncomfortable, and progress, success really, requires all of us to chip in, for all of us to question who we are, what we want, who we need to help in this country, and how we can do it. Now, I would like to focus on the state of Maine for a second. Yes, Maine, clear skies, fresh air, trees, lake houses, lobsters, whoopie pies, the works. In past years, Maine has not always been the focus of attention, but this year it's way different. This year, we're in the center of it all. I say this because we're a swing state. I say this because we have the potential to make a difference. I say this because even with the horrid virus that's plaguing our nation, even with lies and falsehoods being made by those who claim it cannot be possible, we can vote. We can vote by mail, we can spread the word, we can tell our neighbors to register, to go vote. This election for Maine means 4 years where seniors do not have to worry about healthcare. The election means reclaiming a future for people like me, young people who have been disappointed time and time again by the man in charge. We've been cast aside, told to not worry about the virus that's taking our loved ones, an economy that's failing, our favorite local businesses closing, where we discover that no matter how many dollar bills we can put in the tip jar, the mom and pop store won't stay for long. We've been hurt, we've been terrorized. When our friends were dying in high schools due to gun violence, a narrative was pushed that our prayers, our begging, to the man in charge to give at least some sensible gun laws. They were completely ignored. Corporations polluting our air, 30 million acres of public lands and water constantly being reduced day by day, the EPA failing to protect us. We're seeing it now. Our state is under attack by private companies seeking to privatize our own water. The water of Native Americans, the water of people's ancestors, the water of people of Maine. We've constantly seen a president who undermines minorities, who uses racial divisions to shove us apart, to make the marketplace of ideas impossible to navigate, even if the ideas are as abstract as not supporting welfare or not supporting programs to help those who are disadvantaged. It's all done to harm us, harm the youth, harm our future. We need to work together because we can't suffer like this anymore. This is not normal. Raging wildfires in California are not normal. Virtual schooling is not normal. Barely being able to afford healthcare, believe it or not, is not normal. Being followed by authorities for the color of your skin, for the kinkiness of your hair, for the accent of your tongue, that's not normal. The breach of our privacy, the destruction of businesses, the neglect of our waters, it's just not normal. We need a world where we see each other as equals, not as enemies or anything like that. We need a world where we expand access to education and provide relief for student debt, because believe me, no one would like to pay for their student loans. We need a world where our healthcare system, what happens in it is a living right, a moment where we're seeing the vulnerabilities of a strained healthcare system that barely has any air to breathe. To conclude, I can't tell you how many more years we have. This is such an important year for us. It's how important it is to get America back to some form of normality. I want to see the day when we can all go outside without a mask, breathe in the air, and worry less about our problems when we lay our heads down at night. I want it, you want it, we all want it. And I believe if we all work together, especially with Biden and Harris, we can definitely see it happen. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ijoma, for your words. From the megaphone out on the stoops of City Hall and throughout our streets to the megaphone in the State House, we're also joined by Representative Mattie Daughtry. Representative, thank you so much for being here. We love your backdrop. I know that you're a brewer by trade as well. Thank you for joining us here tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with all of you tonight. My name is Mattie. I'm the representative for House District 49, which is about half of my hometown of Brunswick, Maine. And then in my other life outside of the legislature, I'm coming to you folks from our brew house at the brewery that I co-own. We're actually open right now for delivery. And so, you know, what we were just listening to about the impact of what's going on under this administration and on our small businesses is literally what I'm facing every single day. I first ran for office when I was 25. It was not something I thought I'd be doing. Running for state office was not, you know, when I was sitting in high school, it wasn't what was on my plan. But there are a multitude of things that really got me to run. I graduated in the last recession in 2008, and I watched what I thought my college degree would enable and unlock for me completely get washed away. And I realized that there are so many things that I was already active in. You know, I was doing a lot of work around making sure that we're holding elected officials accountable for climate justice and the climate crisis that we're facing. Additionally, you know, my age group, and we're still dealing with this, an absolutely astronomical student debt threat that makes it so even when you get that post-secondary education, you can't really take part in the economy. And I was finding that, you know, I was self-employed and I couldn't even afford healthcare. I was having to decide between purchasing a new car or making sure that I had a plan that would maybe cover me if I got hit by a car. And it just all packed together to make me realize that, you know, I had the potential to make impact and change. I didn't just have to, you know, think about it and hope that someone else would do it. And more importantly, I realized I didn't need someone's permission to be a state representative. I didn't have to look away a certain way. I didn't have to act a certain way, and I didn't have to have a certain resume. And so when I was 25, I jumped in, and it's one of the best decisions that I've ever made. And, you know, I realized that if I wanted to see the change that our generation needed, that I needed to make a seat for myself at the table. And what I've seen, you know, while I've been elected, and especially under this administration, is for young Americans, and especially young Mainers, our future is being robbed. We're completely having the clock not only set back, it feels like they've completely taken the clock away. We're watching, you know, an administration that is sowing division on every level, whether, you know, it's racial, economic, or just on our basic ability to be kind to each other. You know, President Trump has turned his back not only on our nation, but our generation. He has belittled our beliefs, he's belittled our desire and our calls very loud for change. And I think this election really is a litmus test. You know, when I got involved and I first ran for office, it was really scary. I was waiting for someone, you know, to say it was okay. And they always say, you know, for someone to get involved, it takes, you know, an ask. So I think we're all here asking all of you to make a difference, you know, whether that's just making sure you go out and vote, whether it's, you know, the incredible group of activists we have here today talking about how they've impact change. I'm here asking you to find a way that you can make a difference in 2020. We're really at that, you know, litmus test of where does our nation go? And we need to stand up and realize we can't wait for them all to, you know, make the change we need to see. We need to demand it. And that's why I am so confident that Vice President Biden and Kamala Harris are really the decision and the team that we need to turn this country around, to make sure that we have a green future, an equitable future, and a just future. So thanks for having me here tonight. I'm excited to be a part of this team. And, you know, we're seeing firsthand why, you know, 2020, we can come up with all the memes, all the jokes in the world, but we're really here, and it is time to make a stand and say 2020 is not normal. Get out there and vote. And I'm so excited to be part of the Biden-Harris team.
Thank you, Representative, so much. And no sampling during the panel. We're going to come back to you. So we need you. We need you with us. Turning to our next guest, he is a Portland native, BC grad, an NFL grad, a CFL grad. I told myself I would not ask him about how he thought Cam Newton played. Quentin Porter is our guest. Quentin, I'm not going to ask you to do that, but just asking you to talk about how important the youth vote is in Maine and kind of the importance of getting out there and voting.
Yeah. Thanks, Spencer, and thanks everyone else. Just to give a little heads up, I'm not used to doing this. I'm not as articulate in these things as the rest of the folks on the panel, but this is great to be here, and I really appreciate it. I think backing up just a little bit, so like, my background, I'm not the most political guy. I'll chime in every now and then. My father comes from a rough background and had social services that helped him out, and he became a social worker working for the city of Portland. And so growing up, I always knew the importance of that. And he was, explaining things about what Democrats are and what Republicans are. And so, of course, I'm always going to be on the Democratic side, but I was saying I don't chime in very much. I think I did some campaigning for Barack in South Carolina when I was playing for the Panthers. And that was important for me because he told this story or had this feeling of hope that I was seeing, and it was so critical at that time. So I'm like literally knocking on doors. Aside from that, I've never done any like political activism other than just voting myself. This year, I feel like I can't just sit back and watch this unfold and see what happens. This is like such a critical moment for us. It's existential. I could throw out a variety of words and we can get into it, and the others on the panel can probably explain it better. This is just not another election. This is something that our country needs to decide who we are. What are we? And are we going to let that happen again? The things that happened to get the guys in office right now elected, I think was a lot of people on our side here just, being maybe a little overconfident, or a little bit too comfortable that things would turn out the way that they did, or the way that they hoped it would. And we saw what happened, so we can't let that happen again. I think the biggest thing in terms of the folks listening on the sort of younger side is to make sure that it's not just you voting. I think you've got to get your friends to vote. We've got to hold them accountable. Am I coming through okay, Spencer? Is a little
yes,
audio
you're good now. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I don't have great Wi-Fi. I've had issues all night, but just let me know if it stops.
Nope, you're
the
perfect.
Point that I'm trying. Yeah, okay, cool. The biggest thing though is, like I think others have said it too, it's just not about you voting. Like turning out to vote is obviously key, and it's not just like, yeah, I'm going to go vote. Literally make a plan for how you're going to go vote. Like, where are you going to go? What time are you going to go? Like, are you going to carve out space from your work schedule? And are you going to get 3 to 5 of your friends to go do it too? Because they might not. What we can't have is anybody just hoping things go well and sitting on the sidelines and thinking this is going to work well. Because the other side, as we saw 4 years ago, is motivated and they're energized. And they're energized for a variety of reasons that none of us would agree with. Divisiveness and fear, anger and frustration that they have for various reasons. And that motivates them. We can't let them be more motivated than we are on this side. And that's just kind of the biggest point that I want to make. And that needs to extend to our friend group as well. I think maybe one of the other things I'd want to say is, other than just making a plan, is that I guess coming back to that, this isn't just another election, is looking at this from the standpoint of, do we want this person, this guy that's currently in office to be able to be reelected and let that be what our country is and what we are? For me, that's like kind of the biggest thing, right? How we look in front of the rest of the world, how we interact with each other, all of these things that we've been seeing happening in the media and the things with, things going on with the police. We are better than what we're coming across as right now. And we know that. And I think it's just not enough to just say, yeah, we know that, and sit back and hope that things go well in an election, because they should, and because people in cities will vote the right way. you know, the way it's set up with the Electoral College and everything, as we saw last time, doesn't make it as easy as that. So it's not even enough to get more votes. We've got to get the right votes in all the right areas. And that means all of our friends and all of our extended network. So I guess the biggest thing I can come away with, or, you know, hope that people come away with, is, of course, you vote and come up with a specific plan on when and how and where you're going to vote, but also hold your friends accountable doing that and go together, make a plan together. And if anyone wants, I'll leave my contact info. I'll go vote with you. Let's do it together. Let's all get in it together and make this happen. For me, it's like a football game, man. We got to win this one. And my competitive juices are flowing right now. So any way I can help, let me know. But let's make this happen. And I'll leave it there.
I absolutely love that, Quentin. Muscle memory. You vote this time around, and then in 4 years or 2 years or whenever the next municipal election is, you kind of get in that habit of voting. Totally, absolutely important message for each and every one of us. Speaking of other important messages as well, we have Vic Barrett from New York with us, who has been an environmental climate justice activist for 5 years now, traveled all over the world to talk about this message. Vic, I'm so grateful that you're with us here tonight. Thanks for joining us on this Young Folks for Biden virtual bus tour.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here today. I guess I'll just start talking a little bit about like why I take action, and then I'll kind of frame like why this is an important moment for other young people. Like me. For context, I'm 21. So I take action because I believe that the best world basically is one where everyone's voice matters and where everyone's story is included. So a little bit of my story. I started high school in Manhattan after growing up in a really, really rural and white part of upstate New York. I wanted to get involved in something that represented me after growing up in an area like that. So I got involved in learning about the social justice implications of climate change off top, and the ways that encompass so much of the lived experience of not only myself, but like so many people who look like me all over the country and all over the world. And my first chance at really holding my government accountable to me as a young person in that was by participating in the Juliana versus United States lawsuit, basically suing the US federal government for the direct action it's taken to fuel the climate crisis. So getting involved in the lawsuit was sort of my way of stepping up as a young person who didn't have voting power yet. I joined that lawsuit when I was 16 years old. So now 5 years later, and I'm old enough to vote. This is my first presidential election. But I'm learning so much about how the system is actively meant to evade young people like me and meant to make it harder for certain demographics to access their voting rights. And this particular moment is so important for young people, especially because bottom line is Donald Trump doesn't want young people to vote, because when young people vote, progress happens. And the issue we're seeing in the United States today are perpetuated by a president that's absolutely failed young people in so many ways. He's undermined any and all principles of fairness and equality and how justice isn't taken out. He's ignored all requests to have assault rifles taken care of so that young people aren't being killed in school. And he's determined to let corporations pollute air with no consequences. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, as we've all sort of talked about. And it's not just unlucky that young people often find themselves on the front lines of these issues. When I started getting involved in the fight against climate change was around the same time that I realized that young people have to be a part of every decision-making process and a part of every decision because we inherit the implications of all of those decisions. And also, young people are unique in the sense that we understand that we always have to move forward with intersections in mind and be willing to represent the people around us who so often aren't represented. And we have so much power to shape a place that's better for people from all different ways of living. Another 4 years of a Trump presidency locks in a reality that's literally unimaginable, or doesn't want to be imagined for so many people, with heightened violence that's been taking place in our country and years counting down to stop irreversible, catastrophic climate change. We need to be, young people especially need to put everything into our work right now, because it literally means so much for the future. And I think that's okay, because young people have absolutely all the tools that we need to build the world that we want. But the thing is, Donald Trump is interested in cracking down on that potential every chance he gets. And so we need to elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris so that young people have the opportunity, at least, to lean into our ability to make change. I think so much of that starts with being listened to, and something that I'd love to see Joe Biden do is sit down with young people, especially from the Sunrise Movement, and actually talk about what we want to see coming out of this. To me, it's so important that he has a comprehensive climate policy that young people can believe in, and that we know is crafted with young people at the table. Our generation is the most diverse and connected generation of Americans, and we care about one another, and we recognize where our vulnerabilities are. And I think that means we're willing to step up and protect our neighbors and our peers. And what that means right now is voting for Joe Biden in this upcoming election and contributing to something bigger than yourselves. The youth vote has so much power behind it to make literally all the difference. If every young person that had the capability to vote in the country did, we can control any election. We have the energy, we have the networks, we have the tools, and we also simultaneously have everything that's at stake for what comes next. So we need to really get out there and make sure that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris get elected this November.
Thank you so much, Vic. I'm grateful for your words. Stick around, because we're going to come back. I got a question just for you. Our next guest is an actress, producer, director, humanitarian, and an activist. She's best known for her roles in DC Comics' Stargirl and on CW, and Tall Girl on Netflix. Check it out if you get a chance. Not right now, though, because we still have some time left in this panel. Anjelicka Washington, thank you so much for joining us. We're super glad to have you here in Maine.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super grateful just for the opportunity to be around like-minded people and hear awesome, amazing change that we're all committed to achieving. So one reason so many reasons, but I'm obviously extremely passionate about this, and that starts with the fact that Trump has just failed young people, period. Like Vic said, I think that Trump has done so many things that have just disproportionately affect us in general. And this 2020 election will affect us so significantly. And we're already suffering the failed actions of Donald Trump, not to mention like COVID and how it has affected like 30% of people under 30, which is way more than obviously he led on, as we all know. And I mean, after 4 years of Donald Trump's just failed actions and just ruining our economy and building an economy that doesn't work for working people. It doesn't work for people who have families. It doesn't work for people who want to live a life that is has purpose and that is fulfilling. He's polluting our air and our water, that is completely affecting young people more of a burden, because it's a climate crisis that is going to affect us longer throughout our lives. Trump has not only failed our climate crisis, but he's outright denied it. Like I was saying before when I got on here, that I'm in LA and it's been raining ashes for over a week now. That's not normal. That's not okay. And to deny that our climate crisis is real is crazy. He's also even withdrawn from the Paris Climate Accord, and he's tried to strip protections from more than 30 million acres of public land and waters. He has rolled back regulations that's designed to limit pollution, and he has even overseen substantial reduction in enforcement of laws that are designed to make our water and air cleaner. These are things that we need to physically live and breathe. And this is why we need a Green New Deal. Honestly, this is why we're fighting for it and why we need it. Trump has also sided with the National Rifle Association. He's completely refused to address gun violence. School shootings and daily acts of gun violence are causing trauma to young people, causing actual trauma where people are walking around with PTSD, just living their daily lives as they go out. Because almost 40,000 people a year die as a result due to firearm injuries. This is literal trauma. It's not something that we're making up. This is a real thing. And he's even undermined the promise of education. College is clearly not affordable for the average American. And he even supports predatory for-profit colleges that allows universities to shame and silence sex assault survivors. It's unacceptable. And of course, he's tried to sabotage the Affordable Care Act, which we all know is unacceptable. And so for me, I definitely know, I wrote my whole speech here. Reasons of why I am voting for Biden and Kamala, because I am obviously so excited. So I'm just going to share with you guys a few reasons why that's even more important to me. If you didn't already catch it from all of the things that Trump has not done. I believe that my body is my choice. I believe in a woman's right to choose. And I know that Joe Biden and Harris completely support me and support my fellow women and my friends in that as well. I believe that young adults, I know that young adults are twice as likely right now to be under the age of 25 and be unemployed. That's unacceptable. Joe Biden will make bold investments in our economy that will create millions of great paying jobs to ensure that fewer young American workers are struggling by starting off their career in a recession. I mean, think about that. That's crazy. We need good paying jobs because everyone deserves that. No one deserves to be the working poor. We're done with that. And we young people and everyone deserve better. And he's going to make sure that young adults can afford high quality childcare and long-term aging for care for our parents, because obviously that's extremely important. My parents are my everything to me. And he's going to secure environmental justice and clean energy future. Joe will make a $2 million investment in infrastructure and clean energy over his first term alone. Super significant. He will create a new civilian climate corp to conserve our public lands and create millions of good union jobs that are helpful for not only our economy, but helpful for our environment. And Joe will hold polluters accountable and ensure that communities of color facing disproportionate harm to pollution are serviced. He will ensure that families that are making under $125,000 will have tuition-free public school. Now, yes, I'm an actor, but I did pay my way through a community college here in California, and I spent thousands and thousands of dollars, and my parents did not make $125,000 a year. This is huge, like really, really huge, especially for middle-class families who want to send their children to college because they deserve that as well. And he will even invest more than $70 billion in HBCUs and MSIs. Incredible. And of course, doubling Pell Grants. I have so many friends who have Pell Grants and who have student loans. And this is why cherishing our HBCUs and cherishing our students, because we're the youth, we really are the power, is so important. And of course, he's committed to rooting out systemic racism and restoring moral leadership into our White House, because as we can see, we don't have any moral code in our White House. And that's not a world in which I want to live in. I want to live in a world in which everyone is being held accountable for their actions and their words. So this doesn't just end here with this awesome conversation in this panel. This starts with everyone going out and voting. This starts with people taking this seriously. And like many people have said before me, it's about getting your friends to vote. Friends don't let friends not vote. Make a plan. This is why plans are so extremely important and significant, because you don't want anyone to wake up on the day and realize, oh shoot, I left my ballot that I got in the mail just sitting on my dresser this entire time. No, make a plan. Make sure that everyone does it at the same day. If we can all get tested for COVID and we can screenshot and send our COVID test, why aren't we screenshotting and sending that we're voting? Like, we need to have an extreme amount of excitement and hope the same way that we do for our futures. So please get out and vote, volunteer if you can, take this seriously. This is our election. We are the future of this country, and I am so excited and looking forward to Biden-Harris. Yeah.
I got muted. Thank you, Anjelicka. We are all looking forward to getting out there and voting as well, and to make a plan. And if you don't have a plan and you're in Portland and you want to join Quentin, he is apparently taking people to the polls. So Quentin, I'm gonna volunteer you up for that. I got a thumbs up there. This is my favorite part because this is the question and answer part of this. I'm going to start with Representative Daughtry here. We talk a lot about, we have a lot of things going on. All of us are extremely busy. We're millennials. We don't like to commit. We don't like to write. Why is it so important that we make a plan to vote this year? And then what advice for you specifically, Representative, do you have for folks who have a passion for public service and how to get them involved here in activism?
Absolutely. I think it boils down to one key item is you have to vote because this is our future. You know, if we sit this one out because maybe someone doesn't, fit exactly what we're looking for, or, everyone else is going to turn out. We've already seen what 4 years of that sort of attitude has done to this country. We literally, for many of us, can't afford and might not make it through another 4 years. The best way to have your voice heard if you care about anything, any policy, whether, it ranges from, public preschool, racial equity, climate crisis, or I talked to a woman today who was really passionate about, making sure we're protecting our natural resources and songbirds. Whatever it is, you need to vote. If you care about an issue and you want to make change, you need to show up and have your voice heard. That is the root of our country, and we need to celebrate the democracy. For getting involved, the number one thing is just do it. Find someone who is involved, whether, it's an issue that you're active in or someone who's running for public office. Especially here in Maine, we're all a really friendly bunch. If anyone would like to get involved in Maine, shoot me a line, my contact information I can add in. We'd love to show you around the State House, but, we need more young people, and, we have a very older elected officials group nationwide. So I urge everyone on this call, if you've ever thought about running for office, do it. Whether it's town council or state senate or state rep, get involved.
Thank you, Representative. And to you, Ijoma, what do you say to somebody who's sitting at home and it's like, I'm busy, Spencer, you're crazy. I don't even know why I'm on this Zoom call. I'm just always on Zoom calls. What do you say to the person who says, I'm just going to sit this one out. I'm not going to go vote?
I would tell that person to get up and go vote. Like, I understand how difficult it is, especially like now transitioning into college and being a college student. I understand how fatiguing it is to be on Zoom every single moment for classes, not really being able to really live the lives that we were living in 2019. But I highly encourage people to vote, even if they're scared of going outside their houses. You can do mail-in voting, you can request an absentee ballot. There are so many options to vote and to get to the polls without actually being at the polls. And I just want people to know that no matter what you've heard, it's totally legal to vote by mail. No one's going to sabotage your mail. I have not seen any ninjas come to my mailbox and take my mail. So I definitely think that it's a viable option for anyone who's just really not feeling like it. So get out there, go vote, and do us all a big favor and place in your ballot.
And Ijoma, that is our first Mail Ninjas reference we've ever had on one of these. I'm so happy that you joined us. Vic, to you, for people who are voting for the first time in a presidential election, what say you to them? What message do you have for them?
Yeah, I'm excited to answer this question. Also, thank you for having me. I'm gonna have to probably dip out after I answer this really quick.
All right.
But I would say that to definitely make conscious decisions about what you want your future to look like, what the information that we know, at least about climate change, at least looking at the climate that we're in the United States right now, what absolutely isn't working for you as a young person right now, and what do you not want to see in your future? You can have a direct effect on that. I think that's what young people need to remember as they go into the polls.
You're going to escape the lightning round, by the way, because I've got a few quick questions that I was going to ask each one of you. Really quickly to Quentin, for you, my friend, again, I won't ask you how Cam Newton did, but it is important that we get that answer at some point before you leave us. My question is, as far as folks who aren't politically, who don't watch every newscast or don't watch every debate, who say, you know, I don't really know, so I don't really need a say. What do you say to them?
I would say use your gut instincts. Just look at it really quickly. Take 10 minutes and look at one guy versus the other guy. Forget the policies. We can talk about that for days. Look at the man right now that's in there and ask yourself, is that what we want to be? Is that who we want to be? If that was the leader of my family, is that how I want my family to be represented? And just answer that. That's it. And I'll leave it there.
All right. And no answer on Cam Newton. No, I'm just kidding.
No, he won. So we'll give him that.
Anjelicka, last question to you before we get into this quick lightning round. For those who, are there any specific viewpoints? You talked about a couple of them, but what specifically for you is it that you most significantly differentiate Biden from Trump? You mentioned a number of them there. I wanted you to focus on one that you find most impactful to you. What's the difference maker?
So many, but I think for me, what Quentin was getting at is morals, a moral code, just respecting not only others, but respecting yourself. And when I think about the person that I want to lead this country, when I think about people, like Quentin said, lead my family or even be a friend of mine, like I would have nothing to do with that person and have nothing to do with being around them ever. And I would never want my family or my friends to bring a man like that home to my house. And so for that, I don't want him in the White House.
That is a good way. That is a good way to put it. We're going to get into our lightning round question really quickly to all of you. We want to get to know you. We've heard you now for the last half an hour. We want to find out how each one of you are doing at this time where we're kind of locked in our homes. Representative Daughtry, I want to start with you. Favorite binge show from this quarantine this pandemic that we're in?
We've gotten sucked into the world of the High Seas and Grand Hotel telenovela, and we have been going through them really quickly.
ICYMI.
I would have to say The Good Place, and I also finally finished season 9 of The Office, so that's what I've been binging.
All right, Quentin.
Fauda on Netflix, an Israeli intense.
Yes,
I'm in.
I've seen that one. Anjelicka, you cannot say your own show, so I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Okay. Well, I was definitely going to say it's free on the CW app. So holla at Stargirl if you like DC superhero stuff. But outside of that, I really enjoy watching drama. So I'm currently binging Greenleaf and Trinkets. They're both on Netflix. Greenleaf is an own show, but currently going hand in hand with both of those. So
I love it. I love it. I got caught up on Homeland. That's my show. And for all of you watching, that is about our show. I want to just thank our panelists and our guests so much. Representative Daughtry, Quentin Porter, ICYMI, actress Anjelicka Washington, who joined us, Vic Barrett, who had to run. Thank you, all of you, so much. If you're sitting at home right now watching this today and you're thinking to yourself, am I going to go vote with Quentin? The answer should absolutely be yes to vote. But if you're, make sure you have a plan. Make sure your family has a plan. Make sure your friends have a plan. If you want to get involved or if you want to learn more about how to vote, please head off to voteinmaine.com. If you want to take the next step, you want to do something even more, you can do it very easily. Just head to your phone, grab this thing right here, text Vote Joe to 30330. It's that easy. Or if you want to volunteer, you can text volunteer to 30330. From my house, from Representative Daughtry's house, from Quentin's house, from ICYMI's house, from Anjelicka's house. Thank you all. Good night. We love you. Get out there and vote. We'll see you soon.